Hi, I'm Jeff Haecker, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jeff.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hi, Jeff.
All right, so today we are discussing the 20th episode and season finale of Season 9 of SG1, Camelot.
I like to push the pram a lot. Sorry. There's going to be a lot of that in this episode.
Well, if you want to sing the summary, and that's how you can. In this episode, SG1 discovers the village of Camelot, complete with a sword in the stone, on the planet with coordinates obtained from Arthur's mantle. They access Merlin's library, however things go awry when the security system, a Black Knight hologram, activates and kills a villager, sparking panic. Meanwhile, the Supergate in the Milky Way is discovered, and the Odyssey picks SG1 up on the way to investigate. However, Mitchell and Jackson return back to Camelot, and it beams them directly into the library. The hologram attacks, and one of the villagers pulls the sword from the stone, which Mitchell uses and tries to defeat the knight. However, Jackson ends up shooting the controls, stopping it, and Merlin's treasure is unlocked. And they learn that the weapon is likely the San Graal or the Holy Grail. And then additionally, the newly completed Korolev, under the command of Colonel Chekhov, shows up to beam Jackson and Mitchell up to join the Odyssey. Teal'c visits the Lucian Alliance to also ask for assistance, and Sam devises a plan to stop the gate from connecting to the Ori galaxy by spacewalking to the Supergate to reverse the polarity and dial out. However, they are too late and the Supergate activates, and Sam is left to float away. The Ori invasion fleet starts coming through the gate and easily defeats the Allied forces. The Ori ships destroy the Korolev with Mitchell and Jackson aboard, and the final shot zooms in on Vala aboard the ship as she goes into labor. All right, so what do you think of this episode, Lisa?
Actually, I'm not a huge fan of the underlying Ori plot and all that, or Merlin Camelot stuff, but I really did like this episode. I thought it was well written. I thought it was well done. They pulled out all the big stops of, you've got what is it? Space guns and ships, and you've got Kara Mitchell fighting hologramic, knights with swords, and it's just the new Supergate. You've got a spacewalk. The new Ori ships. I feel like they just went all out on this one. Plot's not my favorite, but I feel like Mully and Malazzi wrote a really good character-driven, very Stargate-y episode that it moved along, good pace, and so and it really left us going, now what? What just happened, and what are we going to do for season 10? Because, oh no, everything's going badly for us. So overall, pretty good as the season finale.
What do you think of the episode, Victor?
On second thought, let's not go to Camelot. It's such a silly place. No, it's I don't know. I mean, there are good elements in it. I like John Noble, the whole Arthurian legend thing at the time, and I seemed very forced and kitschy to me.
Uh-huh.
And it is a little bit still. I mean, they had to do something, I guess. But the Allied plan is just really dumb. They already, a few episodes ago, they lost the Prometheus against just one platform that was built by not a technically advanced race. So what do they think one Ori ship is going to do, But their plan is to get 6 ships or 9 ships or however many ships and try and defeat them rather than... It was just a really dumb strategy, and that kind of took me out of the moment. I do like some of the running around. I like the Merlin's magical chamber of wonders. That was cool. Like I said, I like the guest appearances on this. And again, they bring in the Korolev, oh, here's the Korolev, yay! And then it's destroyed within 3 minutes of it appearing on screen. So I didn't like that either. And then, it's a downer of an ending, and you're waiting 3 months to see how things happen. But really, at this point, I think I stopped caring.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm I like this episode. It is the season finale, so like you said, Lisa, they do pull out the stops, and you can see where they save some of the budget for this. And I like everyone does have something to do, even Teal'c for a change, because he often doesn't have much to do. And yeah, as far as the space battle, I mean, you're right that what are they going to do? But at the same time, like, you can't just let them in without a fight. You have to at least try something. I feel like, so I guess I didn't really bump on that much, because if you have an invading army, even if it's even if it's a hopeless battle, you still have to try. Otherwise, they're just going to be unchecked, and they are anyway. So I don't know. I guess I can see it both ways. Of
maybe you could just
right
have everybody concentrate their fire on one ship rather than just like choosing targets at will. And I mean, there's. Or as soon as like the first Jaffa vessel gets taken out, just like run away, run away.
Yeah. But I like that Carter, like their initial thing wasn't to try to fight them. They were going to try to, dial the gate so that I can't dial in. And, of course that fails, and, Carter's left to float off in space. And yeah, I mean, overall, I did really like it. I think I did like the Arthur legend stuff at the time, when it aired. It is a little sillier now, but I think I did kind of like it at the time. But yeah, so yeah, we start off, they get to Camelot, and they arrive in, I forgot John Noble was in this. So what did y'all think about the scene Camelot, which is of course our favorite village set from the two series right now?
No, it's actually a new village set that they borrowed from another show at the time. Yeah, I forget the name of the show, but it was I think like a medieval show that was on at the time, and so they did borrow the set from that. It's very muddy, and the reason the floor is so muddy is because they knew that when Mitchell fought the Black Knight, he was going to get his uniform all muddy. So if it wasn't raining, they sprayed it down to make it really super muddy. But I think they made it a little too muddy, in my opinion. But
it was noticeably muddy.
It was very muddy, and everybody's standing there in their pristine dresses, and you're like, how did you get to where you are now? Through the mud. But yeah, I did like it was a refreshing change of scenery, literally.
I'm curious what show it was. I wonder if it was actually Merlin, because that show was airing at the time, but that would have been over in England.
Merlin, it had two names. It was like something and something. I'll look it up. Yeah,
that's funny. The Merlin, the Arthurian legend stuff. I was kind of rolling my eyes a little bit there. Oh, we're back here again, but. This one I enjoyed a little bit more. It wasn't just we go into the secret place and we fight the thing and then we solve the puzzle and then, we've got all the secrets unlocked. So I like that they ran into some trouble. I hate to say this. I kind of like that the knight, when he showed up, he didn't attack them in the secret area. He attacked the people in the village. And I mean, that sounds terrible to say, but I liked it because it was a twist. Like, they didn't know anything happened. And that I liked that Daniel Jackson couldn't figure it out. That was kind of nice for a change. And then he just had to shoot the crystals, because that just usually he figures everything out so quickly. So I liked that.
But yeah, when the knight initially attacks, it attacks the historian who helps them get into the library, who kind of decides, okay, y'all are causing too much trouble. I'm going to leave. But he still leaves them there. He doesn't bring in his fellow villagers to kick them out. But so that was kind of nice that they have this legend that kind of keeps people away from the library, or tries to. But of course, SG1 just comes in and says, "Oh, that's a nice local custom, but we're gonna mess with it anyway," which leads to at least the historian's death. I can't remember if there was another one that's killed as well while they're trying to figure it out, and when they get into the library. But I do like that ultimately it's not Mitchell defeating him with the sword again. It's Jackson just shooting the control with the Zat so that it stops it. And and now all the Camelot people are oh great, they're thinking Arthur and Merlin are going to return and they're going to go on go on a crusade or something, which I don't think we really revisit that per se with this village or with these people. I could be wrong. I don't think we come back to Camelot though.
Well, they kind of left it open ended, didn't they? Because we don't get Merlin's big weapon. I mean,
Not for a while.
yeah, but that's kind of what I liked about this is like it wasn't, oh, we saved the day and we solved all the problems and yay, and I usually like that kind of stuff. But on this one, it was almost like, no. I mean, it just like, oops, we didn't get that. Oops, we didn't get that. But in the meantime, Cameron Mitchell had a great fight scene with a sword, and that was kind of cool. But before that, I really enjoyed them running around the village trying to figure out how to get into the secret library. And then he talked to the young woman with her brother fighting, and then I enjoyed that little play fighting scene and him kind of like, I learned with broomstick battles with my brother, and I love those little Cameron Mitchell stories. Those are kind of fun.
Yeah, and Ben Browder put a lot of that in. The actress who played Valencia, Catherine Isabel, I think was, in her mid-20s at the time. So I think Ben Browder thought that she was supposed to be like a potential love interest or something for the episode. So he was trying to get, affectionate with the fight sequence. And then someone had to tell her, she's 15, and so she's supposed to be 15 in this episode.
Back up.
Yeah. So it was, that was what I got from the commentary. But yeah, so Valencia shows them where Merlin's, House of Magical Wonders is, and it's kind of behind like the most like nondescript door in the village, protected by a force field that Antonius, the village historian, has the key to. Originally, there were more scenes or longer scenes between SG1 and John Noble as Murik. There was actually, speaking of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, there was actually, when they're sitting around the table, Mitchell asks about, what about the knights who say ni? And, nobody can understand what he's talking about, but they cut that out as they were running over on time. But like I said, the inside of Merlin's like keep or lab or stash is very well set decorated. There's, cobwebs everywhere. There's books everywhere. Despite there being thousands of books, they're able to get the answers they need pretty quickly, which I was impressed with.
Did you pause it and look? Was there any like Easter eggs that y'all could see?
So the director, I think on this was Martin Wood, and he was saying that, the set dressers put like two bodies in there. One's like a skeleton and one is more of a mummified corpse. And SG1 just doesn't, like, none of the actors, I think, even realize they were there. And so nobody like does a double take or comments on it or anything, but they're there in the background. But yeah, it was an impressive set.
Mm-hmm.
And then they managed to get into the actual, because they're in the library first, and then Cameron Mitchell finds the secret passageway, and they go in, and that's when the hologram activates, but they managed to get in, and then later on in the episode, after Sam or Mitchell and Jackson had been beamed up to the Odyssey, but then beamed back, that's when they fight Mitchell has to fight the hologram, but. Yeah, and then when that's all over, Merrick comes in, and I forget the other character's name, but Jackson's looking at all the books and sees references or sees a pendant, and the villager says, "Oh, that's the San Graal," which is of course the Holy Grail. So now we kind of have our next season MacGuffin, or not really MacGuffin, but next season kind of goal is to get this thing. It's already been a goal, but now we kind of have more details on it, which of course it'll be kind of fully revealed in season 10. And then as they're talking, I like the line where Jackson's trying to explain, it's not magic, it's technology, and right as he's saying that, they get beamed up to the Odyssey. So I thought that was I know twice, they've done that before,
right? Yeah, it happened twice. Yeah. So and my timing is really off today, is what he says, but that was kind of cool. They, John Noble as Murik, tells them where King Arthur and his knights ventured to three worlds to look for the Sangreal, and I don't have them written down here, but there are three just alien sounding worlds, and John Noble asked, the producers of the show, it's like, well, how do I pronounce these? And they said, just pronounce them however you want to pronounce them. So he did, and then those become the pronunciations for the rest of the show.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I tell my kids when they come up with a word. I'm like, just say it with confidence and people will believe you. So there you go.
Yeah. Another interesting thing about this, before I forget, is that this is the first season finale in many years that they didn't film as we're ending the show now, and if we get picked up, we'll continue on somehow. So I don't think they knew that they were getting renewed for season 10. They were just like, this is how we're just going to end this season. And if we get picked up, great. If we don't, maybe we'll make a movie or something, to deal with it. But, they just, I think, got fed up with having to end the series every time that they finished a season. And
it wasn't a two-parter. I mean, in the traditional sense, and it wasn't it was definitely a cliffhanger. And they just, I think it was the last one since Revelations, back, what was that, season 2?
Yeah.
That they'd done as a cliffhanger. So it was, and it did read that they didn't know they were getting a season 10. So that would have been really interesting. Maybe it'd have been like Universe or something, where it ends on a, oh no.
Instead of to be continued, just a question mark, a big question mark appears on the screen.
What do you think about it? As a long-running show as this was, season 9, to go out like this would have been terrible.
It would have been,
terrible. So I don't know. I read that too, and I'm like, why would you do that? Maybe just as a way to not have it happen, or I don't know. But it worked out.
On the DVD, there was a special feature about Brad Wright, kind of just, featuring Brad Wright. And he was even on there when they got to the Q&A section. There was a question about the SG1 movie. And I think even at this point, they were still planning on maybe even like a theatrical movie or something. But they were definitely planning on at least one movie at this point. So they probably figured if we end on, this, we can always come back with a movie. And then ultimately, they did have to finish up the Ori storyline with a movie. Mm-hmm. Because I guess they didn't get picked up for season 11. But so it was just interesting. I do enjoy the scenes in Camelot a lot more than I won't even call it a space battle, because it's just, suicide of what they were doing up there. But
unless you'll have anything else on the Camelot, we can kind of move to discuss the Supergate, which we finally it's kind of been the season long, or most of the season finding a Supergate.
One more thing about Camelot. Daniel Jackson's like leaps in logic here. It's like, the Merlin hologram appears and says like, what you're looking for is closer than you think. The pendulum swings both ways or whatever. And then he says, pendulum, he must mean pendant. And then later on, they're like, John Noble's like, they're questing for the Sangreal. And Mitchell's like, you mean the Holy Grail? And Mitchell's like, well, actually, Sangreal can mean pendant. And it's just like, the leaps there are a little much. You can have somebody figure out a puzzle and still have it be something that the audience could have got, rather than just, pull stuff out of the ether.
They had a lot going on. Come on,
move
it along.
Yeah,
I like that I don't know if they reused the alien device from Wind of Opportunity, or they recreated it, but it looked, I'm assuming on purpose, very much like because they didn't reference it directly. I think Daniel says, we've seen this before. I'm like,
and the Dakara device too.
So I thought that was nice that they, rather than creating whole new alien technology, they kind of like, the design is the same. So that was nice.
This is what an alien ancient supercomputer is, basically, is
exactly
a platform with a couple buttons you push up and down. And
it's probably because they were, because this Merlin would have been after Atlantis, after the ancients left Atlantis and came to the Milky Way, I believe. So I'm guessing they were wanting something like, because yes, they could have their super technology like they do in Atlantis and computers like that, but I think they wanted to do something like quasi mystical that would, that wouldn't completely freak out, basic human. So at least I don't know if that's the case, but that's kind of what I'm thinking there.
And one more thing about that.
Oh yeah.
I forgot his name. John Noble character.
Right.
There's a scene where he's like, there's a woman behind him on one side, and she was a fan winner, like one of those sweepstakes where I don't know if y'all talked about that last week. So I think she was in that one too. That she got like a walk-on appearance. I think we saw that years ago with an episode in the Oval Office. Or something.
They've done it a few times. Yeah.
So she was a fan winner at the time that got to come on.
Yeah, and Martin Wood, I guess, was worried that she might be cut out of the episode. So to get around that, he actually made her Murek's wife. She doesn't have any lines, but he's like, well, just you're his wife, so you will just stand close to him, and then you'll always be in the episode. Yeah.
All right, but then we go to the Supergate plot. What did y'all think of finally seeing the Supergate completed and Kawushing and that whole thing?
That was cool. I do like their plan, and I like that there's not Veneer, but Vasir. Vasir. Not Veneer, but he's there too with his little Asgard ship. So it's cool to see that the Asgard, despite the internal problems they're having, are still helping out a little bit. So that was cool. One thing to keep in mind as you watch these scenes is that Amanda Tapping was like very, very ill throughout this. Like she had the flu, and she was really concerned that when she was in the spacesuit that she was just going to throw up in it. So she was on the commentary,
Oh no.
And so, but you don't know it from watching it at all. But she would come in very sick and then do her scenes, and then they would have to stand in for the over the shoulder type stuff.
I did like the way with the Supergate coming active, the Kawoosh. I liked kind of seeing Carter's response to that. I mean, her being right there, but just that you could tell how impressive it's meant to be by watching her face. So that was kind of cool. I liked that I don't want to say saw it, that before they had the last time we saw the Supergate coming active, they thwarted it and it didn't happen, so this time it was kind of nice that it didn't just, oh no, we got to thwart it again. Like it didn't happen and we stuck the ship in the thing and blew it up or whatever. So it was kind of like we're seeing progress because they can't just keep doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
So. And the whole dial out before they can dial in thing. I love that. I love the idea of it. Didn't quite happen, but works with a regular gate. So
maybe if Carter had just been a little quicker.
Yep.
Or if they had a spacesuit that fit Vasir, they could have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm always like, you're going to do an EVA. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd think by now they'd have more advanced suits or something because of all their international interstellar travel. But I guess then it wouldn't be as dramatic if you had these like smaller and less bulky suits. But yeah,
or the thing Spock had from Star Trek 1, where you could just just zoom right over to it.
That's right.
He had that little Spock suit, and that would have come in handy. With the jetpack.
Yeah, but Vasir and Carter's plan is to swap a control crystal so they can dial out and keep them from dialing in. But of course, by the time they get over there, it's too late. And it dials. And meanwhile, Teal'c had gone to the Aleutian Alliance to try to get them to come and help out, because kind of appealing to their, well, if the Ori come in, they're going to wreck your profits. And, then you won't be able to be profitable. So that any kind of overpowered all the guards to, I forget the guy's name, Netton, I think. So he gets the Aleutian Alliance to come in, and so you kind of have an alliance.
That has a big impact on the episode.
Powers.
That has lots of consequences for the plot. It doesn't.
Yeah,
they're wiped out. But no, and in that, originally Teal'c was just going to be captured and brought before him. But then Christopher Judge is like, you can't just have me get captured. It makes Teal'c look weak. And so they threw in the fight scene like last minute of him like breaking free of the guards and stuff. So
that's true. How many times is Teal'c getting captured by people? It doesn't look good.
Yeah, and so Christopher Judge said, he needs to have a fight scene, and so they choreographed it like really quick. I think even on the day to get it in there. But yeah, and the last time we saw the Lucian Alliance, they had a lot more than 3 ships. I mean, because there was that whole standoff they had, I think, at one point, and they had like 15 motherships or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot, but I guess all they had nearby was just the 3 easily crushable Gould motherships.
Yeah, and we also get like you were saying earlier, we get the Korolev, which look under Colonel Chekhov. So that was the payoff from a couple episodes ago when Russia was wanting their own Daedalus class ship, since they were going to take back the Stargate if they didn't get something. So, but yeah, it's not a long-lived ship, unfortunately. And I think they probably did that because then you have to have 2 separate, or really 3 separate Odyssey class or Daedalus class ships. So I guess that's a way to avoid that.
I
Just have
just
Odyssey and the Daedalus.
that still just really annoyed me. Like, introduce the ship, like, oh, we're in the previous episode. Oh yeah, we're building this ship. Oh, the Russians want it. Okay, here's the ship, and then 5 minutes later it's destroyed. It's like, what was even the point of that? I mean, and plus these 304 ships are, really cool and massive, and like, why would you? It's there to show that, like, oh my gosh, the Ori can destroy anything we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we already know that from the Prometheus and the way they took out the Gould mothership, so they didn't need to blow up the Korolev. It's more like, well, like you said, Jeff, we just can't have too many ships flying around.
And I think it's partially every time. Think about the run of the season the show ever since the Russians have found out about the gate, or it's always like, well, we have the original Stargate, and we have the DHD, and so then we take it, or we do. You know what I mean? It's like every time we have it, we want a team on your base, and then they all die, and then there's always like something.
Yeah.
Every time they get
something
on
nice.
equal par or whatever, it just something bad happens to it.
It would have been way more interesting to keep the Korolev around, just like it would have been way more interesting to keep the Russian Stargate program around, right? I mean, there's so much you can. One of the coolest things about the G.I. Joe cartoon, and it's probably in the comics too, but I was only watching the cartoon as a kid, was that in one episode they meet, like, the Russians have their own version of the G.I. Joe team. And I always thought that was so cool because it's kind of like a parallel, type thing. And it's just really cool to see that. And so I like it, when they, they could check what are the Russians doing, about the Ori and stuff. But
yeah,
we don't get that.
This show doesn't want too many heroes. They just need SG1.
Yeah.
And 1 ship. And we don't always need the ship if SG1's not on it. So, that's all we need.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Korolev, and I don't think we see Colonel Chekhov again. If I'm not mistaken. Obviously we'll see Mitchell and Jackson again, even though they're on the ship. So that we'll have to wait for that resolution on how they survive. But
yeah,
before they get there, Jackson even tries to send them, because the Ori come in and they broadcast their transmission of, the Book of Origin, some line about the unbelievers, and then Jackson tries to quote them back a line, but.
That was great.
Like, what do you think that's going to do any good?
That also has a big impact. Yeah.
But he says it like,
funny that,
like it's gonna, like, oh, that's the secret code. Like, we're bros. It's fine. Like, don't attack us.
And nothing happens, It's kind of like, I don't know, like you go to a Mexican restaurant or something and you try to order in Spanish and like they just like, just order in English, please.
Well, I think Mitchell says, will that help? It's like, no.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
No.
Yeah, it did not help. But we get to see these ships in action. So we were kind of talking a couple, I think, in Camelot not in Camelot, in Crusade, like how they work. And so we see kind of the ball of like the energy source that's kind of wrapped around like the frame of the ship. So I think they do look kind of cool. Like flying like that, just different. Like they're not a carbon copy of the ancient warships we see in Atlantis or anything. So I do like the kind of the design. I think it's kind of cool.
And they show us the true size of it, because you think about how big the Supergate is. When it comes through, it is the size of the Supergate. So that was very impressive to see them come through in that way.
One potential design flaw is like all the lasers seem to be on the front of the ship, because as the ships try to go around the side, you do see the Ori ships having to bank to they have like a spread of maybe, I don't know, like 60 degrees in front of the ship, but they do seem to have to turn to shoot the ship. So that seems like a potential weakness there, because if you want lasers on the back of your ship too, otherwise, as big as they are, people could just zip, which is again a way that they could have potentially defeated them. But let's pick one ship, let's target the energy source, and rather than like let's just shoot at everything and not have any effect on anything. But
You're like, who was in charge of this battle plan?
nobody was. It wasn't even a plan. It was like, let's just go over there. Oh no, now let's just shoot at everything, when we know our weapons don't have any effects against their shields. We figured that one out. We lost the Prometheus that way. I don't know. It's just really annoying.
I gotta admit, I liked the way that I feel like the showrunners just pulled out all the stops. Like they threw in everything with the kitchen sink. You had Asgard, you had the Russians, you had, the Lucian Alliance. Like everybody keeps popping up, and you're like, okay, who now? Who else is going to come into this? We're going to get replicators? Like, what's going on? So I kind of like that. It kept you on your toes. And then at the end, everybody's life is in jeopardy. There's no good, I don't know. It's so different for a season finale. And I was just like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is,
it's not
why
even
season 10 is the stellar season that it is.
It's not even a cliffhanger. It's like, well, guess everyone's dead. And, you have to have some hook. It's like, well, I guess everybody, blew up. Oh, well, I guess that was that. I don't know.
I kind of had a thought about what was going to happen, and I won't say because I don't know if maybe that is what's going to happen in the next episode, because I don't remember. But I kept thinking, was that what's going to happen? No, that didn't happen. No, they all just are about to die. So, okay. But I'll wait, because maybe that is what happened, so I won't say it.
Yeah, we'll find out. Victor, do you know when they renewed season 10 versus when this aired? Like, did it air before when they knew it was coming back, or?
I don't know. Presumably it might have aired when they had been renewed. But I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember having like angst about is it coming back or not after watching this. And so presumably either that means it had been renewed and I knew about it, or I just didn't care.
Yeah, because it said it was written before they were renewed, but it didn't say it aired before they were renewed. So I'm assuming they knew at some point before it aired.
Yeah.
Okay.
It also is the first season finale without Richard Dean Anderson.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, without O'Neill. So that's kind of sad. Not the last season finale without Richard Dean Anderson, but the first one.
Yeah, that's not AI's answer is not correct here, but yeah, yeah.
Because this episode aired March of 2006.
Yeah, they announced after 200 and next season that they would not be coming back for an 11th season. So they knew presumably after the episode 200 that they weren't coming back.
Well, and the first episode of season 10 aired July of 2006. So I almost think they had to have known by March.
Yeah.
Because that's a real tight turnaround, if not.
Yeah, they probably knew. By the time it aired, they probably knew, or were probably already writing and filming season 10. So.
Oh, we haven't mentioned.
Any final?
Well, we haven't mentioned Vala.
Oh, yeah, she's also there.
Vala, yeah, you got Vala. Everybody's there. Vala going into labor, and she's on the ship. And did we know she was on the ship? I can't remember. Did she?
No, we never saw her. No, we didn't. Yeah.
Because the last we saw her, they were I forget his name. Her husband was blowing up the communication thing, and she's like, "Oh, they tricked me. They, I love you. I love the Ori, all that." So,
okay.
Yeah.
So now she's on the ship, very pregnant, about to have a baby.
Yeah.
We did have some alternate language titles. in Italian, it was, and apologies, Dom, for this, La Maledizione del Cavaliere Nero, which is the Curse of the Black Knight. So they focused in on that. And then in Japanese, we got Kami ni Aragao Mano, which is those who defy the gods.
Oh.
Yeah, I much prefer the Japanese titles for these.
Yeah, that one works.
And I think we had some feedback too, right?
Yeah. So we had on our episode on Off the Grid on YouTube, we had Flying Car 100 say, "You did an amazing job with this episode, spelling maize, M-A-I-Z-E." So
that's a reference to the corn
joke.
Corny
very
jokes
corny joke
always
there.
win.
I'm all ears.
And then we had on the same episode on YouTube, we had Pushing Past the Pain say, "We prefer the word wacky." I don't remember specifically what that was referencing, but
there's a kernel of truth to that.
Yeah. And then on Scourge on Discord, we had Matthew say, "I think you should continue Secrets of Stargate until the end of season 2 of Universe, then quit and leave an unresolved cliffhanger for us to talk about for the next 20 or so." So
maybe.
Yeah.
And then also from Matthew on the episode Coup d'etat, he said on Discord, "Ryan Robbins was in a few episodes of Hell on Wheels and Arrow as well. Truly one of the better that guys of the last several years."
Yeah. Hell on Wheels has been on my watch list for like 20 years to watch because Colm Meaney's in it. So hopefully it's still out there when I get around to watching it.
That's pretty good. Also has Anson Mount, who before he was Captain Pike. So yeah, he's the main character there. And then I think also on the episode Coup d'etat on YouTube, we had Christian Treat 9485 say, "I love Stargate. Thank you for this podcast. Dom B brought me here."
Aww.
Yeah.
So yeah, we always love our feedback. If you would like to leave us some, you can leave it on YouTube, send us a message on Discord, or I'll have the email here in a second. But I think that is it. So we'd like to take a moment to thank all of our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Stargate, including James P., Katie T., Lisa S., Joe S., and Christopher H. Their generous donations make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or find our video versions at youtube.com/StarQuestMedia. To find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. And you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on X at SQPN. And we'll be back next time with the next episode of Stargate Atlantis, Allies. Until then, Lisa Jones, thank you for joining us and sharing the secrets of Stargate.
Thanks, Jeff.
And Victor Lambs, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jeff. And remember, it's got to be here. Look, I once lost my keys in my apartment for 3 days.
Always hate when that happens. And once again, I'm Jeff Haecker. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?